Well, I'm going to get out of here and load up my beast of a kayak and turn it over to Jamie. Ask away. Take good care of my friend. See you guys.
Well, guys, I'm going to sit down. I do better if I'm sitting. Hey, guys, I'm Jamie Denison. Take everything I say here with a grain of salt today, guys. Everything I'm going to tell you is what I do. It may work for you. It may not. It's worked pretty well for me over the years. Like I said, I've just kind of picked it up and made it my own. So do the same thing. And like I said, my train of thought's already going 50 million directions. This is my very first seminar, and I'm nervous as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. First and foremost, I guess we'll just go over my boat here, start to finish. I pedal a PA14, a Hobie PA14. Pretty simple setup. I don't like a lot of complications on my boat. I will start down here at the very back of the boat. Power pole, a micro power pole, if you will, a shallow water anchoring system. I'm gonna double tap my button. Let's say you're in 3 foot of water and you hook up with a fish and you don't want it to pull you out into deeper water, or you think there's other fish there and you don't want to be pulled up into the tree or onto the bank or pier or whatever the case may be. You just double tap the button and it's going to anchor you in spot, anchor you in your place. It really helps, and then you can just basically start fishing where you left off. If there's a school of fish there, you're not disturbing them. You're able to cast right back up to that tree and you didn't disturb anything. If you get ready to move, you just double tap the up button and it comes right back up. It also works great for other things. Let's say you're in deep water and you're throwing a crankbait out in deeper water, 10 or 12 foot deep, run it all the way down, and you've got a drift sock. It'll slow you down to where you can work that crankbait, and your boat's not moving so fast. And it works well for that. There's several different things you can do with that. I guess if it's got a downside, if you're on a windy day, I'm going to tell you the good with the bad here. If it's windy, it will act as a sail, and it will push you right along with the wind direction. So just keep that in mind. Next, I'm going to go up to my black pack. I normally carry 6 fishing rods. Depending on the time of year and what I'm trying to accomplish, they will vary. Most of the time my setup's pretty similar though. I am a power fisherman. And what I mean by that is I'm gonna cover some water. My buddy Brandon, he likes to say I'm gonna cover too much water. But I'm gonna cover some water, and like I said, it tends to work for me. I catch some fish. I am a power fisherman. I like heavy line. I throw braid probably 90% of the time. Some guys say you have to have fluorocarbon. I don't necessarily agree with that. Matter of fact, I don't agree with it at all. Muddy water, clear water, I've got braid on 90% of the time. The only time I will vary from or get away from that is when I'm throwing a crankbait. My crankbait, I do want that stretch of that monofilament so the hooks don't pull out quite so easy. I'm still going to lose a fish on a crankbait, but with the monofilament, it does allow that to stretch and they won't pull out as bad. Then from the 6 rods there, inside my black pack, the actual box is inside of it. I like a little old Mike Iaconelli approved Alabama rig box. I can get 16 of them rascals in there. That way I can carry a variety of stuff, but they're easy to get in and out. Everything from square bills to jerk baits to hooks to whatever the case may be, they're just easy to get in and out of my black pack, and I don't have to dig quite so much to get them out. It just makes it easy for me as far as that goes.
You use an Alabama rig?
Yes, I do. I will throw one. Matter of fact, I got one right here. Actually, I bought it from my buddy Brandon. He likes a 3-hook setup and 2 little ones on top. But that is an Alabama rig.
Do you troll that or do you cast it?
No, I cast it. I'm not going to throw it. If it gets close to cover, it's going to get hung up. I heard Nathan talking earlier about cover and structure. Structure's a ledge, a drop off, a point. Cover's going to be a stump. I got this rope down so I didn't get it messed up somewhere. Yeah, I don't even know where that is. But any type of cover, it will get hung up on. It's just something about an Alabama rig there is sticky. But most of the time, after the water temperature warms above 60 degrees, I put it up. They do catch fish. It's just most of the time I am a flipping guy. My go-to bait is a jig or a creature bait of some sort. Matter of fact, I've gave you, on more than one occasion, I've gave you some of them. You've seen me throw them more than once.
This time of year, the spring where the water's just starting to warm up and it's not warm yet, what are you going to throw?
Most of the time I'm going to have a creature bait tied on and I'm going to be flipping where they live into heavy cover. I'm going to cover some bait until I find them. Now when I do find them, I am going to slow down. And if they're not eating it, I will pick up a little square bill crankbait. Matter of fact, I've got one tied on where we went the other Sunday. Little old Lucky Craft 1.5 right there. I will take and just basically go down the bank really right this time of year. We're on, well, I like to find a creek channel on the edges of a creek channel where it drops off into deeper water because they're going to move up to feed. And
when you're fishing, say here again this time of year, are you going to be fishing with the bank right here and you're casting down that way, or are you going to be fishing right here this far from the bank and casting that way toward the shallow and bringing it back towards you in the deep?
I tend to parallel the bank.
In other words, if this were the bank, you'd be going.
Yeah, I tend to get on the edge of that channel and keep it in the strike zone as long as I can. It tends to improve the odds of getting bit. And you can make them eat. I know that sounds funny, but fish are opportune feeders. If you bring that bait by him, he may not want to eat it, but if it comes by him and it does something stupid, if it just hits a stick, a rock, or whatever, and it moves erratic, he's going to eat it. Whether it be a crankbait, a spinnerbait, or that jig, if it hops up and it moves funny, he's going to bite it.
In other words, if you're winding, you lure along and it hits a rock, you make pause.
Yes, make a pause, by all means. Throw it out there, it winds in, you feel it, just take and jerk it. It ain't even got to hit a rock. I mean, you can make it do silly things by, when you throw it out and you're winding it in, vary your retrieve speed. I know I do. I'll be winding along and I'll be burning, and all of a sudden I'll just dead stop it. And then I'll just start it back and I'll take that rod tip and I'll just twitch it. And then start cranking it again fast. And a lot of times when I go take off again, he'll kill it. Because I don't know if it annoys him or what it is, but it's just a reaction thing. He sees it, he wants to kill it.
And that's the crankbait. How do you fish the creature bait?
Well, that a lot of times I won't burn it in. Like I said, I'll throw it out there, and that's.
You fish it on the bottom or just
yes.
Okay, on the bottom.
Yeah. So sometimes I'll drag it, sometimes I'll hop it. Most of the time though, I'm throwing it into heavy cover, whether it be a brush pile, along the edge of rocks.
Do you rig it weedless?
Yeah, I'll throw it a Texas style. I'll get one out and show you real quick. And my favorite one is a kinky beaver. I think you remember that, don't you? But
I gotta forget it. Come on.
well, I don't know.
Kinky beaver.
Yeah,
Kinky beaver.
Reaction Innovation Kinky Beaver. Yeah, I'm just throwing it on the number a 4/0 straight shank flipping hook.
You're doing a Texas rig.
Yes, sir. I'm throwing it Texas rig. I'll pass it
What kind of
around.
weight is that?
That is a 1/2 ounce tungsten, is what that is. But that is it. I'll just flip it out.
Big weight.
Not really. But
What would make you change weights? What's your determination on changing weight, or you just stay with the 1/2 ounce?
it's rare for me to go away from 1/2 ounce if I'm throwing it really a little deeper. Or do you need to see that?
No.
Okay. A lot of times I do peg it. 99% of the time it is pegged.
What is pegging?
It's a rubber insert that I put inside the weight. A lot of guys, they do make them to go on the outside, the very tip top. I like the ones that slide up in the weight. It does not move. It keeps it from sliding up and down the line.
Okay.
It's called peg. They used to use toothpicks back in the older days, I guess. Yeah.
Is that similar to a bobber stopper?
It is.
It says a bobber stopper.
Basically, yes.
It just doesn't show up as well.
Right, yeah, it's just inside the weight. It's just an internal stop. But I do peg mine, and it lets it stay. It keeps the bait compact, especially when you get in grass, it pulls the
If you don't
bait.
peg it, you throw it, the weight's gonna go here and
It can slide up the weight or slide up the line. And you notice I do throw braid. I don't color it. Muddy water, clear water. And you'll notice that hematoma, I throw it all over the country, from here to Texas to New York.
What line is that? What line are you using?
That is a cigar braid right there. A 50-pound flipping braid is what that is.
why do you use such a heavy line?
Because I'm going to throw it where he lives. If you're scared to lose it, leave it at home, guys, because you're not going to put it where he lives. And when he hits it, I want him out. I don't want to play him. I don't want him.
In other words, you're throwing it in stuff that he's gonna dig down deep into some of those plants that are growing up, and
Yes.
he's gonna be hard to get out.
Yes.
You need a heavy line.
Well, imagine if you're throwing it in a brush pile top of a tree, and you sit there and you're looking at the top of the tree, and that's where that fish is living. You want him out of there as quick as you can.
8 pounds.
Yes, heavy rod, heavy line, and you want him out. So by all means, I don't want to play him. I want him in the boat right then, right now, and
But you got somewhere else to go.
well, I just want the next fish. I just want the next fish. But that is that particular setup.
Can you talk about that setup on what you're doing there?
Yeah.
What reel, or why that reel and why that rod? Or?
Well, this happens to be a St. Croix 7.6 medium heavy flipping stick. I actually prefer an 8-foot, but at the time they don't offer an 8-foot like this. I think they do now, but when I bought this one, they don't. I use such a long rod because I want the power. When I do throw it up into that heavy cover, I do want to pull him out. I want a fast tip. I don't want a lot of bend in the rod. I want the power to transfer through my line. I don't want any stretch in my line.
What does it mean you say it has a fast tip?
Where it bends in the rod, if it was a moderate bend, it would bend more here. Fast tip's going to be here, and extra fat's going to bend on up here.
Does that help you set the hook better?
Not necessarily better. It's just where it bends.
So it's just your preference.
Yes, on that particular, it helps with the application that I'm doing here. And the kayak I do for a shorter butt, a shorter handle, from here to the top of the rod seat. I did cut this one off when I got it from St. Croix. I just cut it off and put another rod butt on it. It was too long to suit me. There's no rhyme or reason to it on that. That's just strictly personal preference. Some guys.
Some of us don't like it hitting us in the gut.
Right, and for me, like I said, it just get in my way is what it did for me. It just strictly got in my way.
And you use spinning reels. Bait casters.
Yeah, like I said, if I will use a spinning reel, but it's odd. I do own a couple, but they are rare to make the trip. This is a Shimano Calais. They actually don't make that reel anymore, but I've yet to find one that performs like this one does. I'm sure they're out there, but I hadn't found it, or hadn't tried another one to even try to replace it. Like I said, that all goes to personal preference. There's a lot of good reels out there, but this is the one that I've been using for years, and I'm just a creature of habit on that.
What do you use the other rods for?
Different applications. Like I've got different rods for.
You're not hitting one thing, you're going to try to get them to hit something else.
Right, and they're different action rods. Like this one is I don't use anything under a 7-foot. I prefer a longer rod. Now I do have one on there that's 6.6 that I borrowed from a buddy to try a jerkbait with, and actually it worked well. But I still want a longer rod because I prefer making a longer cast. That helps me in covering that water. This one happens to be a 7-foot medium fast. Going back to that tip thing, and where that rod bends for throwing that spinner bait. But then again, like I said, I did cut the handle off. I just like a shorter handle, and most rod companies.
That makes sense, to be in a kayak.
Yeah, but you can't convince a rod company that. We've had several conversations, but
That rod won't fit in the back of the truck.
I don't know. Mine's never really. I had mine right up front. I'm working on a rod box too, but that hadn't happened yet. But
His significant other might have to ride in the back. He's going to look after those rods. I'm kidding. You take care of her too.
yeah, no, we're gonna take 2 vehicles. And she knows it though. She's sitting there going, "Yeah, we'll take 2."
Well, when you're out fishing, the reels are going to get wet.
Yeah.
Then what do you do at the end of the day, the next day, taking care of
I'll take, and like I said, I'll just wipe them down. Now, freshwater, I'm not really that concerned about it. I'll break them down once a year and clean them thoroughly. Saltwater, I'm rinsing them the minute I come off the beach. Literally, I have a rinse kit, and they're getting rinsed right then and there. Freshwater, I'm not too concerned about it.
He says that he has fussed at me for my dirty rods.
Well, I do wipe them down. I am a little particular. Hey, Hoppy.
Denison, I understand that you do some ocean fishing with a kayak.
I do.
How far can you take a kayak out in the ocean, or how far have you been fishing?
Well, I've been about 3 miles out in mine.
About 3 miles?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But we can cover a lot of distance in freshwater. I know last year at the national championship, we were actually, I covered about 15 miles a day. You're talking about covering some water.
Where was that at?
At Kentucky Lake, same place we're back this year.
15 miles a day?
That was round trip, but I didn't see another kayaker. We definitely, I wanted to cover. Well, it is. It's about 160,000 acres at Kentucky Lake, but I wanted to get away from people, and I'd found some fish and just wasn't the right ones.
You had to estimate how long it took you to get to where you were going,
Yeah, you have to plan your day.
then how long it's going to take you to get back while you're there fishing.
Yes, sir.
Be in at what time?
It depends on the tournament, but at that particular tournament, you had to be back at, your fish had to be checked in by 3 o'clock. So you had to, whether you had cell service or not, because everything's done through an app for those tournaments.
Stupid question.
No, sir.
On the, when you said you had to check your fish back in, and normally kayakers are taking pictures, measuring them on the hog trough.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the tournaments, you got to bring the fish back with it. Where are you putting the fish?
In a kayak tournament, that's not the case. Everything's done on a hog trough.
Okay.
It is a catch, photo, and release. You'll get a unique identifier the night before the tournament. I don't know if I have one or not.
Okay, for those tournaments, it is the same thing.
Yeah.
It'll be something similar to that. This is one for an online tournament that I've got. You'll have that. It has to be in the photo, and it has to be uploaded by a certain time. If it's not, your fish are disqualified, and you're not allowed to upload any more fish, and you have to be back to the check-in at a certain time, or you're disqualified. And it's just all part of a planning thing. You have to put your day together. It's no different than fishing a big boat tournament and managing your time. It's just you're doing it in a lot smaller boat and a lot slower means of propulsion. But moving on, as far as you can't carry everything, so you go, you pre-fish, you pattern your fish, and this time of year it's just, you know what the fish are doing. They're moving up, they're wanting to spawn, so they're staging up on secondary points. Some are moving up and already started spawning. As soon as that water hits 55, 60 degrees, some of them are doing it. Those bigger fish have already started with that moon phase. They're starting to spawn. But they're in different stages. Not all the fish are going to spawn at the same time, and not all of them are going to move up at the same time. So they'll be in different stages. So you can't take everything. So you take a little of all of it. You find your fish and plan your day. But like my plastics, you can buy an expensive bag, but I got me an old lunch bag. And I set it under my seat, and that's what I carry. From my graph, now I do believe in good electronics. Lowrance Elite 7. I am going to upgrade to a 9 for a little bigger screen. My eyesight isn't what it used to be, obviously. I got my buddy's glasses I laid in my seat up there. And I like looking at a map. I do believe in preparing before you go to a lake. I like studying a map, looking for different stuff. That structure, anything different on the map. The contour lines, those 1 foot contour lines on the newer maps. You can learn a lot from that.
What do you use as far as a map? Do you use a paper map?
Navionics. You can download it by the app, the card. You can download it straight to your tablet, your computer, and then you can just zoom in and really in an area and break it down. When I talk about a lake being 160,000 acres, break it down into small ponds. Don't try to consume that 160,000 acres, because nobody can do that, not in one sitting. So break it down into if you're used to fishing a little 10-acre pond, break it down into a 10-acre section and break it down. Find your humps, find your ridges, your creek channels, your ledges, and then get in your boat and go look at it with your graph and find your cover on that structure, and find your stumps, your rocks, and your brush piles, and see if the fish are there, because if you have those combinations, the fish are going to get there eventually.
Find it hard to get in your tight spots with all the weight in the boat?
No, I do not. It's very nimble. With the 180 drive, you can pull in, hit the reverse, back it out. It's actually quite effortless. Hardly no effort at all. And then the fact that I can average about 4 miles an hour, getting from point A to point B, makes that 15 miles almost effortless. And that's just a steady, 4 miles an hour is actually just a steady stroke. That's not even dogging it.
What's the average weight that you carry?
I know the boat weighs, correct me on this if I'm wrong, Ron, I think about 140 pounds.
120 pounds.
Is that 120? Empty?
It's 145 with the fins in the seat.
Okay, 145 with the fins in the seat and then whatever I tack in there. And I'm 180, so, I think the capacity is around 600. So, yeah, I don't have any trouble with it though. It moves on up the lake pretty good. I was at Kentucky fishing the Hobie Open last year, and I was sitting, Kentucky Lake, if you've never been there, in places is 3 miles wide. And the wind was blowing 15, 20 miles an hour that day. And I was sitting out in the middle of it fishing the ledge, and people were coming by me looking at me like I was absolutely crazy. I had waves just literally rolling over the hood of my kayak, and I'm sitting out there and fishing the ledge, just catching fish on a Carolina rig and a jig, and it was just like, how in the world are you doing this? And it was all because of the drive. I mean, if I was in a paddlecraft, a paddle, different boat, I couldn't have did it. But how do I power this? I'm gonna pass this around the room. This is a little 20 amp hour battery. Y'all guys are gonna be impressed about this. I was, so much that I pursued them and actually picked them up as a sponsor. But if you guys are interested, come see me afterwards. I got a discount code. You wanna talk a little more about that battery.
Is that a 12 volt?
That is a 12 volt, 20 amp hour battery. It will run your graph for probably 3 days if you have one like mine. If you have a little bigger graph, maybe not as long. But they do make a bigger amp hour. I actually run a 50 amp hour battery in my boat.
They would fit the Hobie light?
Actually, you can run it up and put a different connector on it and do that. Mark Patterson's already approached me about that. But the 50 amp hour will ride, I actually store my battery underneath my seat, and the 50 amp hour will ride right there. But if you're interested in that discount code, just come see me after the fact, and we're actually going to put that discount code, if you miss it, up on the NCKFA website as well. But that is a neat little device there.
It's a whole lot lighter than a standard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That lithium is the trick.
What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see beginners doing? You look at someone and say, oh, they must be new at this. Like, how can you tell?
Too much stuff on their boat.
Yeah.
I prefer a clean deck, and then that way, other than my net, this is all I have.
Some people have a bad habit of bringing every lure they own
Yeah.
Yeah,
and using what they have tied on and nothing else.
yeah. Your bubblegum worm seems to work, buddy. I'm telling you, you caught a lot of fish on that rascal.
You ever flipped your boat?
Yes, I have. In the ocean, I have. That's the only place I've ever flipped it. Coming in, we stayed out king fishing one day a little too long and knew it done got a little rough, and I turtled. But live and learn. Pay attention to your surroundings and get off the water. But yeah, you can take too much stuff, I believe.
What's been your favorite hook?
Depending on my technique. I'm a flipper, but that hook that I just showed you is a trocar, just a straight flipping hook. By far has put more fish in the boat for me.
And that's what size was that?
That's a 4/0 hook for that bait. Yes, you need to match it to the bait. Now,
Catfishing, he uses something bigger.
yeah, I do. It fits that particular bait well. Now, if I go to a Zoom Z-Crawl Junior, I'm gonna knock it down to like a 3/0, and I may go to a VMC hook just because it's a little smaller hook as far as diameter wise, a little smaller wire hook because it doesn't tear the bait up as bad. But yeah, that flipping hook is what I use more than anything because that's what I do.
What's been your favorite color?
Hematoma or black and blue and green pumpkin. They will eat green pumpkin anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the country, guys, and I don't care if it's muddy water, clear water, they'll eat it. Now I heard this morning they were talking about in clear water, dirty water. I like red when it's muddy, and I like black and blue. But now I will throw red when it's clear, and I will throw red when it's muddy.
He showed us the one earlier that was more of a clear bait.
Right.
And I had better luck with clear baits on sunnier days.
Right.
I guess from the flashiness, it's picking up light.
Maybe. I don't pay that a lot of attention, to be honest with you. People laugh at me, but I don't. I don't pay a lot of things a lot of attention. Literally, when I say I just go fishing, I go fishing. I know what works for me, and I don't pay a lot of things a lot of attention. My buddy Brandon, he'll say, I don't know how you do it. He'll say, you need to do this, you need to do that. Why? What's the moon phase? I don't know. I don't care. Literally.
Change bait.
No. Why? I know that I'm going to catch them on this. Fishing is 90% between the ears, guys. If you don't take anything away from me than that, fishing is 90% between the ears. If you don't think you're going to catch them, you're not going to catch them. I know I'm going to.
Faith in your bait.
Yeah, I know I'm going to catch them every time I go. Now, does that always happen? Not all the time, but almost. And that's not me bragging, but I mean, I always seem to have a fish or two.
Yeah, I've seen people, again, most of what we've always done with canoes coming down the river. People, they'll cast it out there, they'll crank that thing in as fast as they can. As fast as they can. And other people will cast it out there, just like you said earlier, and just let it rest.
And sometimes that the fish will tell you how they want it, by all means. Let me show you all this. First time I seen that, I was like, holy cow. Yeah, look at the size of that square bill. That's pretty. You sound like my wife. I like that because it's pretty. Yes, I let her pick me one out. And if
I lost my favorite lure that had yellow on top and white on the bottom, and I always got some.
But see, because you had confidence in it. Believe it or not, see, that goes back to that 90% between your ears. If you think you're going to catch them, you're going to catch them. Now, I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but I know I'm going to catch them, so I do. Now, you have to... He uses the force. Well, I don't know about the force, but...
So is this the biggest fish you've ever caught was on this bait?
No, actually it's not. But believe it or not, that little square bill will run 14 foot deep. I've hung that rascal up in 14 foot of water. And now when I go to Kentucky here in a little bit, I will throw that rascal because we got on them last year and they flat killed it. But I wanted to show you that you can catch fish on big baits. That rascal's something else. I just wanted to show that off while I was here because first time I seen it, I was like, man, I ain't gonna catch nothing on that thing. I didn't have any confidence in it.
They're using those baits now for largemouth bass. Can't remember the name of it. It starts with an H. They're like almost 12-inch long plastics that are jointed. That type of thing. They're huge. They're swim bait, big swim baits.
Yeah, I'm not a huge swim bait guy, so like I said, it's all in what you get confidence in. But somebody's got some confidence in it, so they're throwing it.
Where'd you get this?
That is a Lucky Craft Magnum.
What kind of line you use?
That one right there, actually, I throw that on an 8-foot flipping stick, and I throw it on a 20-pound test. That is the only crankbait I'll do that with. But it will mono, because and it doesn't pull. I mean, really, I was surprised the first time I threw it. I figured it would pull like a Dickens, but that bait does not pull bad. Now, he's going. Them things are $20 a piece, brother.
Really?
They are. Well, if you need one, we'll work something out.
With or without the discount?
No, actually, I don't have a discount code for that one, but I just wanted him to see it because I knew he'd.
I've been to the store.
He knows I'm gonna go out and get one now.
You think about it, you go.
But now the catch to that is I don't know if they'll work in your pond over in Summerfield or not, because the reason they eat it at Kentucky is because they have huge shad in Kentucky. That's part of the reason why I threw it out there.
They'll hit them in maybe Lake Higgins or Lake Brand.
If they've got big shad in it, they will.
Shad that are that size.
Well, then they'll eat it. Largemouth are fearless, man. They'll.
But we've all seen largemouth bass with other largemouth bass stuck in their jaws that are about half the size of the bass that's trying to eat them.
And that is the case. It is the case. But if you don't think you're gonna catch something with that bait, guess what? You won't. I have beat more anglers at the ramp than you can imagine. I know that sounds crazy, but I have won more tournaments at the ramp before we ever started fishing.
Well, they're convinced there's no need to fish there.
Well, they pull up and they see who all's here. I don't care who's at the tournament. I don't, because I'm not fishing against them. I'm fishing against the fish.
That's right.
If I go out there and I figure out the fish better than him, my buddy Brandon, which is a heck of a fisherman. But if I figure out the fish better than him and I execute, if I get 5 bites and I put 5 fish in the boat, I have done everything I can possibly do. I fished to 100% of my ability that day. Let the chips fall where they may. I can't help what he's done. I can't help what Brandon's done. I can't help what anybody else has done. I can only control what Jamie does.
That's exactly right.
So don't worry about it. But I know that I can get in his head, then I beat you. It all goes back to what's between your ears, guys. It's funny how that works. I mean, catching fish is, you got to catch them to win. But I mean, I don't care if Kevin Van Dam shows up. He's going to have to catch fish to beat me. I mean, and that's the truth.
Catch them and throw them back.
Yeah, catch them and take a picture and throw them back. Yes, sir.
Be damned if he didn't come back and get it again.
I ain't never caught the same one the same day, but
I have.
yeah, I mean, maybe on the bed, but yeah, I mean, maybe in that aspect,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's entirely possible, brother.
He's bleeding, threw him back. 10 minutes later, he hit the same crankbait.
And it all goes back to that reaction thing, covering some water and yeah. Just,
When you're doing that tournament, do you'll take the photo, I'm assuming you use your camera or your phone?
your camera phone.
Does it go in right immediately to the scoring location?
No, you have to upload it. I always take more than one picture. If you guys are going to do the tournament thing, I'm hoping everybody's going to do the NCKFA thing for sure. It's a local tournament. It runs from, I think, this year from April till November. Through November. Take more than one photo of your fish. Don't take just one. But you have to upload it. We go through TourneyX, is who we use most of the time in our tournaments, through KBF.
There's nothing worse than taking a picture and then getting home and discovering you didn't have the angle quite right on the camera because the sun was shining at a different angle, and all you can see of your identifier is a bright, shiny object.
Yeah, pay attention to your lighting, your shadows. People get a little testy if you turn in a negative. I've had that happen in the past. They will protest you over thinking you've doctored the photo when you haven't. You just taking it in a different light. But I always remember that. Take more than one photo, especially because it's just a good practice. And by all means, catch a lot of fish. And then that way you don't have to worry about it. Best one on the market, brother. I can send 12, 13 hours in it and get up and walk right off into my boat. That's another good thing about this boat. I can literally walk from one end of it to the other. I can put the landing gear down in the water, take the nose of it, hit the bank, walk off the end of it, pick the nose up, walk it right out of the water. Put it up on the trailer. Any other questions, guys?
Do you ever put separate leaders of lighter monofilament, 6 foot?
No, I do use monofilament sometimes, but I'm not a leader guy when I throw straight braid.
I know, but I mean, if you were just trying to 6 feet, just do some crankbaits for 10 minutes or whatever.
No, sir. Now, if I'm throwing a crankbait, it's going to be on mono. Now, I will throw, like that big crankbait, I will throw it on 20-pound fluorocarbon. It's a flipping fluoro because it is so abrasion resistant and it will help it get a little deeper. But most of the time, it's either mono or braid. And the reason I use braid, people are funny, and I've been argued with time and time again about this. They say fish can see that line and they won't bite it because of it. I've had kingfishermen argue with me about they won't eat that bait because they see the braid coming straight off your wire leader. Now think about what I just said. They're not going to eat it because they see that line coming off that wire leader. Okay.
That's what I was referring to.
Yeah, no. The fish is not that smart, guys.
No.
Really, they're not. And they're like me and you. They're going to eat when they have the opportunity. No, you don't have to. Don't overthink it. Go fishing. You can catch them if you think you're going to catch them, and if you get around them. If you're around fish, you're going to catch them. If you're not catching fish, then you're not around them. Keep covering some water. Keep your bait in the water, and you'll catch them. Anything else, guys?
Does that pro angler have the reverse?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
What's the biggest fish you put in that boat?
Not including the shark.
Yeah, shark don't count.
And this one,
A boat.
16-14 is my biggest largemouth. I had to go to Mexico to catch
You
it.
didn't catch him around here.
No, I had to go to Mexico, and I've caught sharks, I've caught kingfish, I've caught cobia, I've caught sailfish. I highly recommend.
Catch sailfish.
I went to Florida and fished the Sailfish Slam, extreme kayak fishing. If you get a chance to do that, go do it. When they say extreme sail fishing, they're not lying to you. No, they're going to go regardless of the weather. They're going to punch through, and they're going to go. Take your big boy pants. That's all I can say. I don't know if I'll do it again, but I did enjoy
This
it.
last tournament you won, tell us about that one. How many people were in it?
It was actually, it's the 10, but there were 12. They had a tie last year, and they,
So you had to pre-qualify to be in this one
yeah, it was the top 10 guys in the country.
from last year.
Yeah, you have to fish all year long, and it's the top 10 angler of the year point qualifiers, if you will. And that's at Benville Plantation down in Florida. And like I said, you have to fish all year to get there. And it's basically a fish off. The winner gets $10,000. And I was fortunate enough to win it. I was the only guy the first day to have a limit. And the second day I scraped out a limit, and I'm glad it wasn't the third day. Because them other guys were figuring it out, and it was over, thank goodness. There was a 5-6-way tie for Angler of the Year, and I managed to pull that off in this tournament because that was a tiebreaker. Guys, I want to thank you for coming, listening to me. I hope you learned something. If you didn't pick up anything else, do remember it is 90% between years.
Before you go, what is that code for the discount?
Oh, it is Just Fishing JMD.
Just Fishing JMD.
15. That'll also get you at work at Boondocks as well. But guys, thank you so much for stopping by, and